Are employers becoming more and more concerned about this?
Well, they are, because the cost to the employer for these stress-related illnesses is staggering. In this survey that you just mentioned, of a number of over 200 medical directors and employee assistance directors at a number of corporations around the country, they found that these illnesses led to poor work quality, poor products, absenteeism, and perhaps worse, increased drug and alcohol problems. So, and then that makes everything worse and worse and worse. And of course, one other thing that these do is increase use of medical services. So they cost them more money than the health dollar. And the irony of all this is that the treatment that these people really need, that they really will respond to, and that's very reasonably priced, is often denied to them.
Which is?
The psychiatric or psychological treatment. Very often these companies' insurance policies, health insurance policies, will cover very well general medical care, but when it comes to psychiatric or psychological treatments, there is either no coverage or sharply reduced coverage. And the message is very clear to people. Don't go for it.
What do you think should be done to change it? What would you like to see done?
Well, we've got to change that. It's discrimination against these types of treatments that are very effective. And in fact, I'm pleased that there's a suit now in federal district court in Chicago alleging and testing this discrimination in one particular type of depressive disorder called bipolar disorder. So hopefully the kind of effort that I'm doing now and also the kind of legal efforts that are going on will help to change this situation.
Does it look like people are willing to change at this particular time? I guess employers specifically is what we're targeting, right?
Yes. Well, what I'm trying to do is to help convince employers that taking a more proactive stance and being more active and being more involved in recognizing and helping to provide prompt treatment for these kinds of problems, that it will be in their economic best interest. Because I think that's what's going to appeal to employers the most, are things that are in their economic best interest. And this clearly is. Our treatments work, and they work quite quickly.
Does it usually get to the point where the employee is completely burned out before the appropriate treatment is described?
Often the person has been sick for a long time and their work has suffered. I have, for example, a scientist that I treated in Washington had been a brilliant man, had traveled all over the world, given many talks and so on. He got depressed. He was in his mid-40s and started to do nothing. He was in his office just shuffling papers. Now, he was a very popular and highly productive guy, so his coworkers and colleagues really protected him from the supervisor, and nobody knew for a long time, but he was absolutely doing nothing. And it wasn't until finally the supervisor learned about it and referred to me that I was able to treat him, and now he's back giving speeches all over the world.
And on that upbeat note, we thank you very much, Dr. Robert Hirschfeld, for joining us this morning.
It's nice to be
We're
here.
going to take a break right now. We'll be back with more from AM Houston right after these words.
Welcome to Houston. If you think Oldsmobiles and Chevys are cheaper here, you're wrong.
Lawrence Marshall Chevy Old Geo in the little town of Hempstead is the #1 Chevy truck retailer in America. How'd we do it? By selling for less.
So if you're in the market for a Chevy or Oldsmobile passenger car, your first and last stop ought to be Lawrence Marshall. We've got the selection and low prices you've been looking for.
Lawrence Marshall Chevy Olds Geo, $290 to Hempstead. We clobber big city prices.
There's one fluids company big enough to take on any job. Ambar. On land or offshore. Ambar. With fluids for drilling, completion, and workover. Ambar. So for drilling mud to high-density brine, Ambar. Call the company that's as big as the Gulf Coast. Ambar. Your total fluids company. Ambar. Ambar. Positions for performance.
If you're in the market for one of these, then you'd better stop by one of these. Because right now, during AABC Appliances' 18th anniversary sale, a GE large capacity washer and a GE heavy duty dryer is pair price at only $469. And a GE 21 cubic foot frost-free refrigerator freezer with free ice maker is only $699. But you'd better hurry because we only have these one time a year.
ABC.
Welcome back to AM Houston. There are about 50,000 students a year that decide to study abroad, but it's important to take time to plan and prepare and to pick the right program. My next guest has written a book called Study Abroad. He is David Junkins, and he is from the University of Houston. Thank you very much for joining us, David. It's nice to see you this morning. It says Study Abroad, the Astute Student's Guide, and all different kinds of countries are listed on the front of the cover. How can one pick a program if one decides that one wants to study abroad?
Well, I think that's the first thing you have to do, Sandy, is to decide that this is really something that you want to do, that's important to you. And I think that any student who decides to go abroad should make a really significant contribution, himself or herself, to doing that. It's not something that is just for the idly rich, bored Eastern students or something like this, as it had been perceived in the past. I think a semester, even a summer, or at best a year abroad is something that will make a tremendous contribution to a university student's career and will have a long time lasting effect on that student. So I think that that's the first thing that they have to do. They have to really realize that this is something that they want to do. And then they need to do some preparation, decide why they're going abroad, what they want to study, this sort of thing, and narrow down the particular places that they might want to go, and then narrow down the various programs in those places. There are literally hundreds of opportunities worldwide for students to go abroad and study. There are places such as Hong Kong, where Yale has a very good program at the University of Hong Kong for students who are interested in exploring the possibilities of business in the Orient, and also who have no Chinese language capabilities at all, but want to pick up some Chinese so that they can at least understand something, so they can make some kind of communication. They don't have to know Chinese in order to go. Or if a student may want to go to Singapore, all kinds of unusual and different places.
It sounds expensive, though.
Well, in some instances it is expensive. There are possibilities of financial aid for this. If a student is getting financial aid at his or her home college or university, in most cases that financial aid can be applied directly to a study abroad program. So yes, there's no question that studying in a foreign country will be costing you more than studying in Houston or in San Francisco or in Bloomington, Indiana, or someplace like that. Obviously, that's going to be the case, but it need not be a tremendously large amount of money that is expended.
Do students then need to think about adding a semester onto their college career? In other words, if they go and study somewhere else in a foreign country for that period of time, they lose credits, don't they?
That's a good question.
But they gain experience, certainly.
They do gain experience, but if it's handled correctly, it's not necessary to lose credit at all. In fact, it can be integrated as just a regular part of the student's college program, and there would be no loss of credit at all. And if they're in a four-year program, they should be able to graduate in 4 years. That's the beauty of this. As I have told students before, there's no other time in your life when you can go abroad for a long period of time, we're talking 3 months or something like this, where you can continue to make progress toward your goals that you have there in life. Where you will be accepted not as a tourist who's there for 2 weeks on a tour, going to get on the bus and go see things, but as a part of that society. No other time in your life can you do that.
What about the application process? Should you start when you're a freshman or a sophomore to plan to go away maybe for a semester your junior year? Is that usually the best thing? Does it take 6 months to a year to apply to these programs, get the financial aid, make all the necessary preparatory arrangements?
No, it doesn't take 6 months to a year, but most of these programs will have specified deadlines for applications, and you need to find out what those are. For instance, if you're planning on going abroad in the fall semester, most programs will have a deadline of about May the 15th or somewhere like this when you need to. If you're going to be going abroad in the spring term, the average deadline will be like October the 15th or something like this. So you don't need to have vast amounts of lead time. I think you should start preparing for it before then. I think you should start making these selections, obviously, before then, but actually getting the application in 3 months usually 3 to 4 months will be enough time.
Which is the
that.
prime time? Sophomore, senior, junior year?
Junior year is the traditional time to do this, but more and more students are going abroad at the end of their sophomore year as well. It sort of depends on what you're going to, what your goals are in this. If it's a foreign language program, if you're basically going to improve your ability to study, to learn French, for instance, a lot of those are full-year programs. Junior year, you've taken the foreign language for 2 years, you've got some degree of fluency in it, then you go to France for a year and you really polish that up and you become very proficient with the language. In other cases, though, students are not necessarily just looking for language proficiency. A business program or something like this that I've mentioned. Often those can be taken at the end of the sophomore year or the first term of the junior year.
But the key thing is to make sure that you prepare, and you have a lot of important information in this book.
I
David
think so.
Dunsons, thank you very much for joining us this morning. It's called Study Abroad, The Astute Student's Guide. We're going to take a break right now. We'll have a final look at the news when we return.
When you come in and I do your tax return, you have me behind you and you have H&R Block behind you, the tax people.
America's tax team stands behind its work.
It's satisfaction guaranteed.
We back them up 100%.
Income taxes are all we do. We're here whenever you need us.
The Block Guarantee does give people peace of mind.
Every year, more people come to H&R Block to get their tax returns done right.
We're America's tax team. Put us to work for you.
Attention, this is a public notice. For the next 3 days, we're opening our doors to the public with incredibly low prices. Brand new living room sets, sectional sofas, and pit groups from $188. Bedroom sets from $188. Brand new mattress sets, all sizes, from $33 each piece, sold in sets. Immediate delivery available or free layaway. Quantities limited, so hurry in for best selection. At Nationwide Warehouse, 6128 South Loop East, exit I-610 to Long Street. Phone 644-0200, 644-0200. Nationwide Warehouse.
More and more people are looking younger because of cosmetic surgery. If you feel like it's time to turn back the clock, you can. Through facelift procedures, you can remove extra skin and wrinkles that add years to your neck and face. The results are remarkable and change not only the way you look, but the way you feel. Cosmetic surgery can put time on your side.
For more information, call the Institute of Cosmetic Surgery at 621-6655.
You'll find value at Home Depot, from the ceiling to the floor. With what you get and what you save, you'll finish so much more.
At Home Depot, low prices are just the beginning. We carry the largest selection of Armstrong floor tiles to beautify your home. And Home Depot has more than 50 patterns and colors to choose from.
When you're with us at Home Depot, you'll feel right at home.
Time now for a final look at the news. If you ever wonder how your name ends up on all those junk mail lists, we might have some tips for you. It is our final installment of our special series on how computers are making our private lives a whole lot more public than we know. Reporter Dave Failing has found that computers allow certain people to learn a lot about us and those close to us.
It's almost as though there's a peeping Tom at the Foster's home in northwest Harris County. People who Cindy Foster doesn't know seem to know all about her.
A lot of letters saying, congratulations on your new house, and just a lot of surprise. I had no idea who these people were or how they got my name.
The people are the ones behind all that junk mail you get, although those in the industry would prefer you call it direct mail advertising. How did they know the Fosters just bought a new home? How much do they know about your income, your lifestyle, your hobbies? Probably a lot more than you think.
They try to get the head of the household, so they use a computer.
Bob Royal runs a direct mail company in Houston. Advertisers send him computer tapes full of addresses. They're for people picked specifically by income, age, and other factors that would make them likely buyers of a particular product. He explained to us how advertisers compile the information.
Your income information they get from the government on census data. They can buy driver license records from the state, from every state, I think. Believe it or not, most age lists, there's a company that collects every high school directory in the United States.
Advertisers buy other personal data from companies whose little warranty cards you've probably filled out, and from magazines which often sell their subscription lists. Dump all that data into a computer, and what comes out is a fairly accurate profile of your family's lifestyle. Although Royal says the information tends to be very general. For example, that you're middle class and drive Chevrolets or upper class and have a Mercedes.
So they don't know any exact information really on anybody.
Still, it's not as though all this probing and digging into our personal lives has gone unnoticed. Here in Washington, one of President Bush's own advisors is looking into it.
The information on them has now become a commodity that is being sold, and it's very valuable information.
Dr. Bonnie Guiton is the president's advisor on consumer affairs. She's made privacy a top priority. She says her office knows of instances where rip-off companies buy those computer lists to determine
whether or not you're vulnerable in some areas. If you're vulnerable and this information is misused, then you're a target for various kinds of scams.
For example, investment scams that want to find older people with big savings accounts. Dan Parsons is with Houston's Better Business Bureau.
We are finding evidence that indeed promoters do know how to take lists, no matter how they're generated, and turn them into an abusive purpose.
For people like Cindy Foster, just the idea of her family's profile being bought and sold is troublesome.
So a lot of people have our name that shouldn't, I think. A lot of companies, I mean, people I don't know, companies all over the city. That just really bothers me.
Congressional researcher Priscilla Regan says so much is on file already, and with computer technology so advanced, there's almost no way to turn back the clock.
I guess you're saying that we're just going to lose some of our privacy as a fact of modern life?
I think we have lost it. I mean,
It's already gone.
It's a large part of it is already gone.
Meaning we may have to simply accept living with our computer age peeping toms. Dave Failing, 11 News.
There are ways to have your names taken off those junk mail lists. Please write us for a free brochure on computers and privacy. Send us a stamped self-addressed envelope to KHOU TV, P.O. Box 11, Houston, Texas 77001. Be sure to write computer privacy on the envelope so that we know which brochure to send you. And finally, this morning, we all knew it was going to be coming sooner or later. A way to beat the bulge that doesn't involve putting down the fork or putting off those pounds. It's claimed those with a sweet tooth can eat all the sweet stuff they want. They simply eat fake fat. That's right, fake fat. A new creation by NutraSweet, the sugar substitute king. The stuff is called Simple S, and it's being dished out in ice cream form in Chicago.
Major calorie reductions, potentially up to 80%. And best of all, Simple S offers the taste, richness, and creaminess of fat foods without compromise and without sacrifice.
Doesn't sound too good to be true? Well, the manufacturer says Simple S is all natural. It's made from milk protein and egg whites. The new taste sensation will be coming out first in frozen desserts. And it's time now to check with Mario. We can look at our Friday weather forecast and also for the weekend. You have great news for us.
Yeah, I do. And I also have good news for those folks going down to Mardi Gras, either in New Orleans or down to the island, our own island. Skies and conditions down there are going to be wonderful for a change this weekend. No clouds like last weekend. A little windy, though, this morning. Still a small craft advisory. The high temperature today and also for tomorrow should be in the 60s. We're looking at choppy seas out there. Northwest winds 15 to 20 miles an hour, just in case you're on a boat out there. Temperatures across the rest of the state should be mild today and getting even warmer tomorrow. But overnight, it does appear to be kind of chilly. The temperatures across the state, because of lighter winds and high pressure coming in, should be mostly in the middle 30s, just about for every Texas city. The only city that'll be a little warmer is down in Brownsville at about 41. Then for Saturday, the afternoon gets warm, though. The dry air should allow temperatures to warm up into the 70s across many of western Texas cities. Right here in Houston, pretty close to 70 as well. Here's a look at our forecast, though, for today. The noon hour with a cold northerly wind blowing out there. Looks like temperatures are going to get warmer, 65 by the afternoon. The sun's going to help out there. Clear skies tonight, clear enough to get down to about 30, let's say about 39 or 38 tomorrow morning, I think, and then for much of Sunday as well. Temperatures overall aren't going to be too bad, Sandy, considering the weekend we had last weekend with cloudy skies. Looks like things are shaping up for all those Mardi Gras goers.
Great. Thanks, Mario. Time now to check on the Friday morning traffic report. Good morning again, Ann Parker.
Good morning, Sandy. There are one accident to report. Katy Freeway inbound at Hillcrest. It's only a minor sitting in the left lane, so that'll be pulled away in just a bit. If you're traveling the East Tex Freeway, there was a minor accident earlier, or a major actually. It's now slowing from Lee to Tidwell, then Cavalcade to I-10, and the Gulf Freeway slowing from around College. Elsewhere, it looks like North Freeway slowing from Shepherd, Southwest Freeway from Fondren to West Park, and signals on the blink, South Braeswood at Chimney Rock. I'm Ann Parker, AM Houston.
Thank you very much, Ann. Coming up bright and early on Monday morning, we'll have the latest on the nursing shortage that's taking place right here in Houston. I'm Sandy Rivera. Thanks for joining us. We will be back in 25 minutes, and now we leave you with sights and sounds of Mardi Gras. Have a great weekend.